Hello, good evening. If you want to know who China's closest friends are, look no further than the attendance list at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony in Oslo. Beijing warned the world to boycott the prize giving, which on Friday will hand the award to a jailed dissident or risk its wrath. Paul Mason. Well, our World Affairs editor, John Simpson, is in Oslo for us tonight. And, John, how are the organisers reacting to China's words? Up now with our guest. Joining me is the Tiananmen Square protester and democracy activist Wu Kai-shi, who was invited. Desperate the situation has become. Today, the Prime Minister, on what's been dubbed the How Do We Save Nick campaign, made some concessions aimed at heading off a major rebellion. Well, in a moment, we'll find out whether those concessions have actually swayed the Lib Dem leader Simon Hughes. But first, here's our political editor, Michael Crick. Just talk us into some of the... I met Karen's fiancée, Paddy Smith, at her flat in London earlier today. Paddy, describe... Tonight, the council bosses slashing thousands of jobs but refusing to touch their own salaries. Tonight, one of them's here to tell us why he's on double the Prime Minister's... Firing up the Tea Party for the 2012 presidential elections. We have an exclusive interview with one of Sarah Palin's political allies who... We debate its merits with a page 3 model and a chick-lit writer. Now... Hello, good evening. We're all, the Tory mantra goes, in it together. It's no secret that thousands of jobs will be lost in the coming months from local councils. What's less well known is that the bosses that control them are, in many cases, refusing to even touch their own salaries. An annual survey of council managers published today shows how few plans there are to rein in high pay. The chief executive of the Local Government Association itself has seen his salary soar in the last year. It's now double what the Prime Minister gets. We'll be talking to him in a moment and asking him how he justifies it. But first, our political correspondent, David Grossman, has this report. Really, to spell it out, was not about your job, but about the fact that there is no comparable market, that it is the taxpayer bidding again.
Because it's a very...
isn't it sensible, actually, to have one person at the top who does earn a lot of money, who can cut all the rest of the jobs, if you like, do it efficiently, than have a few people who don't know what they're doing, who seem to be on moderate but not very helpful. Thank you both very much indeed. Thanks for coming in. Sarah Palin told ABC News this morning she thinks she could beat Barack Obama in an election. It's being seen by those who choose to as the starting gun in a Palin 2012 presidential campaign. Today. You've suggested that President Obama is anti-American. Do you really believe that? Your local paper says that you specialise in flame-throwing and falsehoods. Michelle Bachmann speaking to us a little bit earlier. Now, there's something about the endless denial which pretty much tells everyone listening it is going to happen. And yesterday, finally, confirmation from Ireland it'd be accepting tens of billions of euros as aid from the international community. How will it work? What will the payback be? And does this mean the crisis can now be stemmed? Our economics editor, Paul Mason, is here with me now. What's the IMF team currently... Paul Mason. Now, NATO heads of state meet in Lisbon tomorrow. Chief among their concerns will be how to extricate alliance forces from Afghanistan. It's likely that a plan by the country's president for Afghan forces to take over security by 2014 will be endorsed. But 9 years after the ousting of the Taliban, security in Afghanistan is still mostly down to NATO, and many Afghan troops have failed to meet the required standards or simply deserted. Now a new training programme is underway in the hope of meeting the 2014 target, but is it realistic? Here's our diplomatic editor, Mark Urban. Labour MP Claire Short on her attempts to ban the Sun's topless page 3 girl. History does not relate whether the Tory MPs did giggle and fall over, or indeed whether it was proper cross-party hysteria. But one thing has remained, and that is page 3. It's now celebrating its 40th birthday. How much more shelf life does it have? We'll be talking to a page 3 model and an MP in a second. Joined now by Peter Todd, a page 3 model, and Louise Bagshaw, the Conservative MP and novelist. And Louise, when you're looking... That is all from us, I'm told. We've got to go. Good night. Does this look like an aggressive form of secularism? Tonight, the Pope... Hello, good evening. Well, he's here. The Pope came extending the hand of friendship and urging the UK to resist more aggressive forms of secularism. And to be fair, Scotland didn't look too secular today.
Thank you.
Well, let's pick up the debate right here. I'm joined now by the Right Reverend Kieran Connery, Bishop of to come in this evening, and Evan Harris, having listened there to Baroness Varsi. What's wrong with allowing faith groups to do more of what they're so clearly good at? Well, what about tax breaks, for example? I mean, this is the grey line, isn't it? Are those of faith discriminated against, or are they exchanges have been taking place between the President of France and the President of the European Commission? Nicolas Sarkozy insisted today France would continue to dismantle the illegal camps of the Roma people, despite criticism from José Barroso that France's expulsion of the migrants. Situation here. Let's return to the position in Europe now. And are you an independent expert on minority issues? Gay McDougall joins me now from Washington. Thanks very much, Steve Smith, and that lucky old roundabout. Papers coming up in a moment. But first, to ask for forgiveness for someone else's guilt is cheap. The words of Bernard Schlink, whose novel, The Reader, the story of the relationship between a young man and a woman whom he later discovers had been a guard in a Nazi concentration camp, became not only a bestseller, but an Oscar-winning movie. The nature of guilt, apology and what it means to be a German growing up in the shadow of the Third Reich are recurring themes throughout his work, from The Reader to his recent non-fiction collection, Guilt About the Past. I met him today and began by asking what message he wanted people to take away from The Reader. France and 8 other countries downgraded, the Eurozone bailout in peril. Is this the end of the Franco-German axis at the heart of Europe? This that threatens Europe and the world. Hello, good evening. You don't have to be superstitious to realise today was a bad one all round for the Eurozone. This evening, confirmation of news the French had long dreaded. The country would lose its top AAA status with the rating agency Standard & Poor. Humiliation on a national level. Crisis threatens the entire world economy, clearly, and to try to see where it might end, I'm joined now from Paris by Professor Christian de Boissieu, an economist from the Sorbonne, from California by Mohamed El-Erian, who is one of the world's biggest bond traders, and here in the studio by the former business minister and advisor to the G20, Baroness Shriti Vadera. Thanks very much to you all for joining me. And Professor Boissieu, we heard your finance minister say this evening that it was not a catastrophe. Of course, it's not a catastrophe, but as Paul was saying, it puts France now in the position of being one for countries to have a concerted project, if you like, to help others. We know that Greek debt talks have now stalled. What's the future there? Do you think we're actually... In Syria, protests have erupted in several cities, and the head of the Arab League has said he now fears the bloody unrest could degenerate into civil war. Opposition activists have called for mass rallies in support of the Free Syrian Army, a group of army defectors seeking to topple the government. Well, last month, the League sent a monitoring mission into Syria to see if authorities were complying with a plan to halt the bloodshed. Syrian opposition groups and at least one of the monitors say the League mission has only brought Assad, the president, more time. Well, Tim Huell is in Damascus for Newsnight and sent this report. Tim Huell there, and he joins me now from Damascus. And Tim, we heard you talking there of that need for a political situation. Where do you see this ending? Tim Huell there in Damascus. Well, joining me now, Kurt Volker, the former...